Alright, hi there and welcome to the follow-up training for the e-learn session. This particular topic is called rating a computer system. Okay, so basically for this particular topic we are expected to understand the various items at the end of the e-lesson. The first is you expect to understand what is computer response time as it relates or involves a computer system. The second is you are expected to understand which components determine the response time of a computer. And the third is you should be able to know how to rate these components. How do you rate them? Which one is higher, which one is lower in terms of their variations in the market. And then you should also be able to have an idea of the basic things you will need to consider or think about before you actually choose on getting your own computer system. So let's get started right away and let's see the lesson notes as we hope to attain or get these four main objectives. So we'll first of all start off with response time. What really is response time as it relates to computer? Well, we say here the response time is the time it takes for the computer to respond to any command given to it. The response time differs or varies from one computer system to another. I really know that when you're using computer, you will notice some certain things. For instance, if you're using two different computers, you may realize that one seems to be faster than the other. Perhaps when you press the power on button, one gets to the desktop environment faster than the other. Or perhaps when you send the command, launch an application, a video, a game, one of the computers seems to be responding faster than the other, or obeying the commands faster, the ones you are giving it, than the other. In that case, we can see that the difference between the two systems are their response time. The response time there determines how quick one will answer a command compared to the other computer. And no two different models of computers have the same response time. So one of the things that you may ask yourself is, why is one particular system fast and another one slow? We're going to see that it's not about the type of the computer. It doesn't matter whether it's a laptop or a desktop or a notebook or a tablet that causes the response time to be either faster or slower. Nope. What matters are the components, what we refer to as the core components, and that's what we're going to see in our next slide. These core components we're going to mention are actually the components that determine how fast or slow any form of computer would relate to you and to the commands that you've given it. So the first component to mention is what we call the processor, or abbreviated as central processing unit. That is the CPU. The processor is in every type of computer system regardless of the version. The processor is or acts like the brain of the computer. That integrated circuit is where most of the arithmetical, logical and coordinative functions are carried out. Okay, any command you send that relates to any of those three tasks I just mentioned, the processor is the guy for the job. So basically we're going to be seeing how this processor affects the response time of the computer, either positively or negatively. The next is the hard disk drive, HDD. Of course, there are also solid state drive, SSD, that are actually in the market, but we still stick to the original term of hard disk drive. These ones are actually storage devices. Whatever you are doing on your computer system is stored in the hard disk. Okay, in short, if you can open a computer system and remove the hard disk, all your work on that computer system is gone. So once the hard disk is out, all the work that has been done the operating system, application softwares, individual documents will go along with the hard disk, because this is where all the storing of all your documents, your apps or programs, and your operating systems are kept. I'm going to be seeing how it affects the response time of the computer as well. Okay, and the next one is the RAM card. Your typical RAM cards or RAM memory cards here are actually used for a lot of things in the computer. They are found inside the system unit, somewhere close to the processor. Now, the RAM cards have their own functions, which we'll look at it later. We understand that every computer has a RAM card, and they are made so they can be easily replaced, either increased or decreased. And last but not least, we'll also explore the concept or the possibility of network cards being one of the core components. The typical network cards are going to assist you to connect to any type of network, whether there is internet on the network or not, so that you can transfer and receive or obtain data or information being shared on the network. Okay, so these are the four major components that determine how fast or slow the computer will respond to you. And let me just generally say that the higher these components, the faster the computer system would be, and the lower the components, the slower the computer would be. I'm going to show you how you can actually rate these components in our next slide. So let's actually move on. Okay, so we're focusing on the CPU or processor. You can see the summary down. It says the processor is, in summary, the brain of the computer system. The speed of the processor is measured in hertz. The higher the speed, the faster the response time. That's what I want to understand. So every processor you are getting for every system has its own speed, and the higher the speed of the processor, the faster the response time that the computer would give to you. So in this case here, we are saying that the ratings is measured in kilohertz, megahertz, gigahertz, etc. And the higher these ratings in terms of hertz, so every computer has a rating of its processor. Okay, and when you're getting the computer, on the body of the computer, it will be included. You see CPU of maybe 1.5 gigahertz or CPU of 766 megahertz. So that should give an idea to how fast or slow the computer will be. Generally, for these core components, more is not enough. So don't think that there is a maximum that you can't pass or pass. Processors are being created every day, and as such, they are being produced with higher speeds, and we just cannot get enough of their speeds. So just note that when you're getting a system or advising on to get a system or choosing a system, ensure that the system has a valid and an okay processor speed for the work that you want to use it for. Moving on, your RAM cards. Okay, so in this case here, the RAM cards are actually electronic cards. We see that it uses random access memory as its memory type. This card or model is used for a lot of functions. The major functions are for running of application software. So you can see that there. For the RAM cards, any application software you are running as of that particular moment is being accessed or is being run for you by the RAM card. Okay, so the larger the RAM card, the more application softwares you can run at once. Okay, which means the faster your computer will behave. So basically, we are saying that every application software that is opened requires memory from this electronic card. The RAM card or memory is rated based on the amount of memory it gives out for system activities. Okay, like the running of the app. The RAM card or memory model is rated also in bytes. Remember, the processor is rated in hertz. This one is rated in bytes, ranging from KB, which is kilobytes, megabytes, gigabytes, terabytes, etc. The higher the amount of RAM memory, you can see clearly the better the system performance. Now the RAM card is one of the core components that can easily be changed, and some persons prefer upgrading the RAM card to improve the system response, okay, and the system speed and performance, which of course is still tied down to the response of the system. So basically the RAM card is also a very important core component as it comes to rating a computer. The higher the amount of RAM card, the faster the system would run. So it's also another specification you look out for when trying to rate a computer system. Okay, moving on. The hard disk. Now, what I just said earlier previously about the hard disk is repeated here, that the hard disk is used for or is used as a storage device. Now, they said here that the term the local disk may be used to recognize such a device. That is true. Sometimes when you go to my computer folder on your actual computer system, the hard disk will be marked or named as local disk, and in this case the memory rating is in bytes, just as the RAM card is also in bytes too. Alright, and the higher the bytes, the larger the storage ability of the computer. It's like saying getting a container with larger size to store water, you know. So in this particular case here, for the hard disk drive, the higher the bytes, the more space for it to store. And believe me, the more space for it to store surprisingly will lead to a faster response time of by the computer, because most documents will not be feeling choked up, be feeling adequately kept and adequately spaced logically on the hard disk. Okay, and the same ratings, you have them in kilobyte, megabyte, gigabyte, even up to terabytes, depending on the type of computer excuse me, that you are using. So you have them in kilobyte, megabyte, gigabyte, and up to terabyte. Okay, so moving on. What about our network cards? Well, like I said earlier on, to connect to any network, alright, and then if the network does have internet services, well, that means you actually too can also connect to the internet. Now, the speed of how fast you are browsing or transferring data over a network or like on the internet depends on the speed of the network card of the computer system. A network card with a higher speed will browse faster, and a network card with a lower speed will browse slower. That's why we say here that any computer that requires or needs to be on a network in order to share information must have a network card. A network card might be wired or wireless. You know, I was saying that the speed of the particular system to send and receive data across network depends on the speed of the network card. You can see that straightforward. And we're seeing here that the speed of the card is measured in bytes per second. That means how many bytes can it send across any network per second. Okay, and in this case here it's called BPS, and there are different types: kilobytes per second, megabyte per second, gigabyte per second. Now when you get a computer that has a network card, it will indicate for you the amount of bytes per second that this card will transmit at. The higher the bytes, the faster the computer will actually browse or transfer information across a network. Alright, so basically we have moved on from there to look at what do we have to consider when purchasing a computer system for either personal use, business use, or maybe for a friend. Now the first thing is, what do you want to use a computer for? And the first point, and it's one of the very important points. In this case, you ask yourself, what do you want to use the computer for? Is it just for browsing, typing? In that case, you may require a computer with a lower rating of core components. Or is it for professional work, maybe video editing, graphics editing, audio editing? In that situation, if it's going to be for those particular types of or classes of computers or usage, in that case you go for a computer with higher core components, because those ones require computer with faster response time to achieve the task. Then you have to also know how much money you have, because believe you me, the higher the core components on the computer, the more expensive. I've seen someone say, hey, I got a laptop, I got it at maybe 50,000, and that person comes with a same size of laptop and say, hey, I bought a laptop at 190,000. The difference is basically not about the size, but what is inside. If you go for a laptop that has higher core components, of course you will be expected to pay a lot more than someone who goes for a laptop with less core components. Okay, and then you have to find out how long you intend to use the computer, so you know the brand you are getting. There are various brands in the market, so you know the brand that's long lasting, that can take you for this period of years. And then what temperature region or operating condition, okay, would the laptop be used in? It differs because there are some laptops that are made for relatively cooler climates, and there are some that are made for relatively hotter climates with higher cooling fans. So you have to find out, is this laptop appropriate for the region in which I'm in? Is it going to be friendly with the environment, you know, so that you will not regret after getting the computer. Okay, so it's been so having you on this particular training of rating a computer system. I believe you've gotten one or two things so you could actually achieve and speak out, you know, with confidence about the response time, the core components, and how they affect the speed of the computer, and what you can do to actually ensure you get the right computer. Okay, so up until we meet next time, do go through the video again, and if you have any issues, be sure to reach out to your physical instructor and point out these issues. Thanks for being with us. Up until we see you next time, remain blessed.